Gregory Peck truly despised these actors. The most surprising Gregory Peck birth. Eldred Gregory Peck, La Jolla, April 5, 1916. His childhood was privileged and difficult. Although he grew up on Southern California's shore, his parents' separation when he was young affected his boyhood. Peck, raised largely by his grandmother, learnt self-reliance and tenacity early on, which helped him in his acting career. His youth gave him a gentle nobility and seriousness that formed his cinematic persona. After high school, Peck studied pre-med at UC Berkeley but fell in love with theater. College was when he started drama, playing in plays, and realized acting was a calling. By the 1940s, Gregory Peck had moved to New York to study acting with Sanford Meisner, a legendary teacher. His height, authoritative presence, expressive features, and sincerity made him stand out. Hollywood noticed after a few years. Days of Glory, 1944, a World War II drama, was his cinematic debut, and his career took off. Peck immediately became one of the era's leading men, renowned for his beauty and profundity in each performance. He was nominated for an Academy Award for The Keys of the Kingdom, 1944, which showed him as an actor who could play strength, vulnerability, and morality. Peck established himself as a leading actor in the late 1940s and 1950s. He collaborated with famous directors including Alfred Hitchcock in Spellbound, 1945, and King Vidor in Duel and the Sun, 1946. He played westerns, military pictures, and literary adaptations, demonstrating his versatility. In 1947's Gentleman's Agreement, Peck played a journalist who impersonated a Jew to expose anti-Semitism, one of his most important films. The controversial picture was a hit and showed Peck's willingness to play socially conscious roles that made spectators ponder about racism and fairness. Peck's greatest role was Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird in 1962. The part fit Peck's stately and empathetic movie image and Harper Lee's acclaimed novel. He defended an innocent black man falsely accused of rape as Finch, the moral conscience of a little southern town during the Depression. It won him the Academy Award for Best Actor and remains one of the most famous roles. Atticus Finch has inspired generations of audiences, students, and lawyers, and Peck often called the role one of his most important. Gregory Peck was dedicated to humanitarianism and civic duty outside of work. He championed liberal, civil rights, and social justice in politics throughout his life. He advocated for nuclear disarmament, workers' rights, and free expression. His willingness to use his stardom for good causes garnered him recognition in Hollywood and worldwide. President Lyndon B. Johnson gave Peck the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1969 for his accomplishments and integrity. Peck continued acting in the 1980s and 1990s, appearing in television and film parts at a reduced pace. Later films included MacArthur, 1977, where he played the Great General, and The Lads from Brazil, 1978, a terrifying drama about Nazi war criminals. His presence was powerful even in old age, highlighting his talent. His last major part was in a 1990s TV miniseries about Abraham Lincoln, another moral hero. Like his job, Gregory Peck's personal life was stable, dignified, and committed. His 2 marriages shaped his life outside of Hollywood. His marriages gave him companionship and family, balancing stardom's demands. Greta Kukkonen, a Finnish hairdresser and later charity worker, was his first wife. The couple married in 1942, just before Peck became a Hollywood star. His film career was fresh at the time. His renown was growing, and Greta supported him early on. They bought a home while he navigated sudden celebrity, acting in acclaimed films during the 1940s. Their kids Jonathan, Stephen, and Carrie were born. For over a decade, they balanced family and Gregory's hard profession. In Hollywood, where long hours, extensive travel, and public attention often strained marriages, their marriage suffered despite their commitment. In 1955, Gregory and Greta divorced after 13 years. Although their divorce was tough, they remained devoted to their children, and Greta was revered as someone who had shared an essential chapter of Peck's early life. Gregory Peck began a long-time partnership with French journalist Véronique Passani shortly after his divorce. Véronique, a François reporter, interviewed him in 1953, starting their love tale. In Paris, Peck was promoting a picture, and a business interaction became a personal one. Gregory and Véronique married 2 years later in 1955, a partnership that lasted over 50 years until Peck's 2003 death. Their marriage was filled with love, respect, and a unique sense of companionship in Hollywood. Véronique, his wife, was his closest confidant and consistent supporter, accompanying him to premieres and international events while creating her own philanthropic and arts advocacy career. Gregory and Veronique had 2 children, Anthony and Cecilia, who grew up in the warmth of their parents' romance and Veronique's European culture. The Peck's home fostered art, movies, and intellectual debate, reflecting Gregory's Hollywood stardom and Veronique's elegance. Friends and co-workers praised Gregory's family devotion and how his second marriage rooted him in his latter career. His first marriage gave him a start in family life, but his second was one of the most renowned Hollywood couples. Gregory and Veronique's partnership endured celebrity and time. Veronique was with Peck until he died in 2003 after nearly 48 years of marriage. Their relationship shows Gregory Peck's loyalty and love, which were visible in his personal life as much as his acting. Millions knew Gregory Peck as one of the most dignified, courteous, and gentlemanly performers ever. He symbolized Hollywood's golden age with his tall physique, authoritative voice, and gravitas, making him ideal for roles of integrity and quiet fortitude. Peck, like many men, had his inner thoughts. Despite their polished appearance, several film industry figures tried his patience. Peck rarely expressed his hatred for some of his contemporaries, but those who knew him well knew. He was frank, unsparing, and often startling in his private comments. Charlton Heston was often mentioned. Both men were movie heavyweights around the same era, but Peck found Heston's performances stiff and lackluster. With his caustic humor, Peck said Charlton always thought looking heroic was enough. Truth is what acting is about, not height and jaw flexing. Unfortunately, his performances never contained truth. Peck's grounded dramas and Heston's biblical and epic adventures were different, but their paths crossed socially and professionally. Heston's style was more show than soul for Peck, who valued subtlety. Another actor Peck disliked was Robert Mitchum. They starred in 1962's Cape Fear. Mitchum played one of cinema's most terrifying villains against Peck's veteran lawyer in this seminal thriller. Peck said working with Mitchum was rewarding, even if the picture was a commercial and critical triumph. Peck acknowledged Mitchum's skill, but he was sloppy, reckless, and sometimes contemptuous to the art. He liked to drink, gamble, and stroll into set half-prepared. I never accepted that. Acting requires discipline, and Mitchum lived on resistance. He was professional during the shoot despite his misgivings, but their connection was chilly off-camera. Peck's dislike of Marlon Brando, the rebellious method actor who altered Hollywood acting, was startling. Peck thought Brando was self-indulgent, but critics and younger audiences praised him. Excessively irregular. Later, Peck said Brando was terrific when he cared. Unfortunately, he rarely cared. He mumbled, disrespected directors, and treated the process as beneath him. I thought that was hubris, not art. With his classical schooling and reverence for tradition, Peck battled ideologically with Brando's eccentricity. Peck revered professionalism, while Brando relished in anarchy, which enraged him. My distaste for Frank Sinatra grew from his actions, not his acting. Peck admired Sinatra's singing and performances, but disliked his Hollywood image. Peck said bluntly that Frank Sinatra never understood when to stop being himself. It was tiring to bring his attitude, entourage, and ego into every room. Frank always was the narrative, and you cannot be bigger. Peck's friends knew he avoided Sinatra whenever possible, even though they never fought. Peck avoided criticizing others in interviews, trying to present a diplomatic image despite his deep dislikes. His comments frequently surfaced years later in memoirs, letters, or candid chats with trusted friends. He realized that animosity may damage a career and refused to let his personal issues eclipse the dignity he worked so hard to portray on screen. No matter how much the public loved them, Heston, Mitchum, Brando, and Sinatra were the performers he most often referenced and could not respect or admire. Although Gregory Peck was a towering presence in cinema, he was human enough to loathe, criticize, and reject certain industry figures. His measured but caustic comments show a guy who prized professionalism, truth, and discipline above all else and could not stand anyone who defiled the precious art of acting. On June 12, 2003, Gregory Peck, one of the most revered actors in American cinema, died quietly in his sleep at 87. Bronchopneumonia, a deadly respiratory ailment for the elderly, killed him. Peck died at home in Los Angeles, his professional stage and personal sanctuary. He died quietly and with others. Veronique Passani, his beloved wife of nearly 50 years, was with him. Their long-term partnership gave Peck security, love, and companionship after decades in Hollywood. Peck was buried in downtown Los Angeles' Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels Mausoleum, where many famous people are buried. The decision to bury him there reflected his fame as an actor and his faith and community ties. The cathedral's majestic architecture and tranquil environment provided a fitting and dignified location for admirers and loved ones to pay their respects to a man whose film and public life had shaped generations. Peck's funeral and memorial services drew friends, family, and colleagues from the entertainment industry, as well as admirers who considered him as a moral example. Actor Brock Peters' eulogy was moving. Peters' service attendance was symbolic. In 1962's To Kill a Mockingbird, he played Tom Robinson, a black man wrongfully accused. In that iconic film, Gregory Peck played Atticus Finch, the honorable lawyer who defended Robinson against enormous prejudice and social pressure. Their film relationship was one of the most enduring depictions of justice, empathy, and moral heroism.